It's now been over a month since I primarily switched from streaming on Twitch to streaming on YouTube. I spent about 5 or 6 years exclusively in the trenches of Twitch streaming, and now I've recently done a cannonball into the deep end of the pool of the YouTube ecosystem for streams, and I just wanted to debrief on the whole thing because I've been getting asked a lot, not only by chat, but by friends of mine, what the big differences are, what makes one better than the other, which I prefer. And I thought this would be an interesting topic because for a lot of people, Twitch versus YouTube for streaming is a lot like Coke versus Pepsi. They're very similar, but there are subtle differences that make people prefer one over the other. And for streaming, it's obviously Twitch that's the preference. And I just kind of want to go over this whole situation here, let you all take a bite from an apple of my tree of knowledge, and just bestow upon you the sage wisdom that I've been gathering since being on YouTube. Because I am the one that walks between worlds. I'm like fucking John Constantine. So let's just start out with the obvious differences that you'll hear everybody mention. YouTube streaming has no culture to it. It is very bland. It's very vanilla. There's no real identity to YouTube streaming chat culture. And that's not something that you can really teach or artificially integrate into a platform. It's like basketball. You can't teach height. There's certain things you can teach about basketball, but ultimately, there are certain things you can't that'll make you a better basketball player. And for YouTube streaming, that is its chat culture. And let me break down exactly what that means here, because if you don't watch Twitch streams, then what I'm saying right now is a giant nothing burger of mumbo jumbo. Like, what the fuck is chat culture? Well, on Twitch, since it's been around for so long now, the community that watches Twitch streams has grown together and created a very unique identity for itself where it has this DNA that's shared across every streamer's chat on the platform with inside jokes or certain emotes that'll be spammed at certain times during the stream. And it doesn't matter who the streamer is, the chat itself is always in on the same general jokes or emotes and just, it's hard to like actually explain, but if you've ever been on Twitch or streamed on Twitch, you'll know what I mean. There are just certain things in there where instead of just spamming like full conversational texts in a Twitch chat, they'll sum it up with like one line and an emote, you know? There's just so many ways that Twitch chat expresses itself in a way that other platforms don't, and frankly, other platforms just can't. That's not something that you can bring to your platform. It has to happen organically over a long period of time. Twitch has been around for so long, and despite being absolutely massive, the community itself still feels very tight-knit, which makes the streaming and chat experience on Twitch just overall more engaging. On YouTube, it's like Sasquatch. That doesn't exist. And another thing, Twitch does a really good job of making the chats readable. This is a huge thing, actually. Even in the biggest Twitch streams on that platform, you can read the chat because they're smart in that they hold messages for a very small period of time, so that way they come in chunks, which makes it legible. And on YouTube, they don't do that. Ludwig compared it to a sink faucet being turned on, which I think is a beautiful description of it because it's just this endless flood of gobbledygook. Like, you can't read anything on a YouTube streamer's chat that's popping off because they don't hold anything. It's just real-time blasting you with information, and if you try to read it, your brain is going to blue screen. It's incomprehensible because they don't hold it, which makes it detrimental to the health of a stream and a stream's community, because if you can't engage with your community, they're often not going to stick around. This one actually has a super simple solution I am shocked they haven't implemented yet. Just put the rectangle in the rectangle-shaped hole here. Just hold the messages for a second. Just let them marinate for a second before sending them out, so that way it's not just this endless Star Wars scrolling text of things that nobody can read. Now, I know Ludwig also has an extension called Truffle, which aims to make the chat experience on YouTube more in line with the chat experience on Twitch, and it works pretty well. It is a band-aid to a bit of a boo-boo that YouTube still hasn't, cleaned out properly and fixed, but it does help. So I know there are tools, there are options here, but I feel like YouTube could definitely work on the simple things like the messages. The only thing that it can't really do here is create a chat culture. That's something that's just going to have to happen organically. YouTube can just provide tools and provide a better chat experience from a functionality standpoint. Now, there's two other big differences. The one that everyone's going to mention is discoverability, and I do think that's still correct. Now that I've been on YouTube for a month, I can say with confidence, nobody is finding your stream unless they are already on your channel. there's no way to find streams on YouTube effectively. If you browse the godforsaken wasteland that is the YouTube streaming tab, looking for any kind of interesting stream will be a daunting task. Like, you'd have an easier time having a threesome within the next 10 minutes than you would finding a single interesting stream that you might enjoy. The only way you find streams on YouTube is if you already watch the person that's streaming it. It is extremely difficult to find anything that's of interest to you. And trust me, I've done a lot of exploring here. That needs to be improved. On Twitch, I do think discoverability has suffered over the last few years, but that's just because of the oversaturation of streams in general. But on Twitch, it's far easier to find what you want. You go to the category of the game that sounds appealing, you'll look at the titles, you know, like, oh, this one sounds interesting, fingering butthole for $20. I'll take a peek, you know, is he actually going into the chocolate starfish here for donations? I mean, what's going on here? So then you click on it, and it's a channel you've never seen before, and you maybe give them a chance, and maybe you end up liking the stream. On YouTube, that's not going to happen. You just don't have that happen. It currently just feels like streaming is a bit of an afterthought here. There are some problems that I think could be addressed and could be fixed pretty quickly, and this is one of them. It's been in a pretty bad state for discoverability since its inception. It really feels like it's a secret. Like YouTube is keeping streaming a hush-hush whisper, like just a secret functionality. I think there's a large number of people that don't even know YouTube streams exist. I really think that. Because again, the only way new faces can even find a stream is if it somehow gets recommended to them. And in that case, it's just a gamble. You just have to hope that for some reason you made it into their algorithm and then they saw that you were streaming and maybe wanted to give it a try. But other than that, you're not really going to be seen by people that don't already know of your existence. So as a new streamer just starting out, YouTube is absolutely not the platform for you, I don't think. You'd be streaming to a fucking graveyard. Now, there's one other thing I think Twitch does significantly better than YouTube, and then I want to get into what I think YouTube does better than Twitch. But on Twitch, subscribers is done much better. When you subscribe on Twitch, you all know what it means. It means you're giving money to a streamer. Twitch has something called Prime, where you can get a free sub to a streamer a month, and they get $5, and it costs you nothing. It's an unbeatable service, and something YouTube legitimately can't match unless it wants to start offering an equivalent for YouTube Premium members. So like, if you have YouTube Premium, then you get one free membership to a YouTube streamer per month, so it'd be the same thing as Twitch Prime, but on YouTube. I don't see them doing that because it is such a massive net loss of money for the company. Twitch continues to offer Primes, but they're not doing it with a smile on their face. They're doing that with a big old frown. Like the fucking fattest frown of all time. They're praying that you don't remember to use it, because when you use it, it just costs them money, and they get nothing in return for it, other than just offering a legitimately unbeatable service, and it's good for the streamers, and it keeps a lot of streamers sticking around, because the primes, I mean, that's a tough thing to beat. So YouTube doesn't have that, but another thing YouTube doesn't have is an identity to its memberships. When you hear subscribe on Twitch, you immediately know what it is. When you hear membership on YouTube, you're left scratching your head going, what are you talking about? Because even when you're looking at the stream, there's no membership button. But then when you're actually watching the stream, you'll notice there's no such thing as the membership button. It's a goddamn lie. What you need to locate is the join button, which in and of itself is kind of in a suboptimal location. It's right next to the subscribe button there, and on mobile, good luck finding that. It's a game of Where's Waldo. But then you click the join button, and then you become a member. But why call it join? That's very confusing. That's super convoluted. Like, if I didn't know what that button did, I would never touch it. I'd avoid it like the plague. Because what are you joining? You joining a Discord channel? You joining the anime club? Like, what are you joining? Joining a newsletter? Or joining a community tab for the channel? Like, it doesn't tell you what it actually is. It should just be called membership or something. Like, it should show you exactly what it is. Because right now, it's a mystery game of what join does, and nobody plays the game. No one's clicking that button. Now, those are like the major differences that I think Twitch does better than YouTube, but I want to talk about some of the things I think YouTube does better than Twitch, because there are a few. The biggest one for me, and I think it is an incredible quality of life change to streaming that I think is a great thing for viewers, it's the ability to rewind a stream. So, on any YouTube stream you go to, you can go back. You can go back and see what you've missed and catch up that way, or just watch like parts of something if you missed a little component of it. You can go back in a stream, which is fantastic. And it's also good for streamers because then new viewers that come in while you're streaming won't inundate you with questions you've already answered or won't inundate you with questions about something that you've already done earlier in the stream if they can just rewind it and check before they ask. I am a big fan of the ability to rewind streams, and another thing I'm a huge fan of on YouTube, as opposed to Twitch, is the bitrate. YouTube allows you to stream at a much higher bitrate than Twitch. I can't believe Twitch is still currently limited to the bitrate that it's at. YouTube doesn't have that problem, so streams generally are looking better on YouTube. That one's super simple. It's just on the technical side of things, YouTube streams look better. I also do think that it runs better on mobile. Twitch mobile to me has been an absolute fucking joke of a service for a long time. YouTube mobile works really well, and that includes watching streams, at least from the few times I've watched streams on my phone over the last month or so. It has been a very smooth experience. I haven't had any problems, whereas on Twitch, anytime I fire up the app to watch on mobile, I had an issue with something. So YouTube is definitely a little better on that front than Twitch. And another thing that I think is really much better on YouTube than Twitch is VODs. VODs, they exist on Twitch, yeah, but no one really checks VODs. In fact, most people that watch a streamer on Twitch will end up watching their VOD or clips from it on YouTube. So YouTube is just a place to go for on-demand content, and that extends to streams as well, because once you're done streaming, it goes to your channel in the live tab. And it's also monetized a lot better than on Twitch when it comes to the VOD content. So if you do ads during your stream, there's more value. You get more out of that than you do on Twitch. And that extends to the VODs, where your VODs are automatically monetized with ads and certain breaks during it. So you get a lot more revenue-wise from your on-demand content on YouTube versus Twitch. But again, that only applies if you've already established yourself on YouTube, or like TikTok and pushed to YouTube. You've already got an audience on YouTube. That only applies in that case. If you're just starting, this means nothing. Like, because this is just a bunch of fish paste. You won't be found easily as a YouTube streamer. Thus, your VOD monetization isn't going to matter at all. Also, one more thing. This one's not a big deal, but it is kind of cool and a little silly. You get to choose your own thumbnail for your YouTube streams, whereas on Twitch, it's just random moments from the stream. In fact, I had one time when playing through Cyberpunk that my cock slider, like when I was playing around with his penis to change the size of it, was my thumbnail for a while. And it's not like you have any say in that, it's just Twitch generating those thumbnails for your stream. YouTube, you have full control over it. I haven't really been utilizing it to its full potential. I've just been getting like really up close to the camera and making like a face or just staring blankly at it, which kind of is like a jump scare when the notifications go out. But yeah, the ability to make your own thumbnail for YouTube streams I think is actually a pretty good thing. I think it's cool. But it also brings me to another problem. I just mentioned notifications when my stream goes live. That's not commonplace. Notifications aren't exactly the norm for YouTube streams. Very few people get them. I was actually talking to Danny about it like 2 weeks ago. Danny has no idea when I go live, and he's subscribed with the bell and all of that shit, but still, that notification doesn't really get sent out. Whereas on Twitch, you know what you're there for. You're there for streams. So you'll get notification for streams. YouTube, you're not really there for streams. Nobody's really there for streams. They're there for the VODs, their video content. So when a stream notification is supposed to go out, a lot of people either won't get it, A, or B, don't really know like what the fuck is going on because it's a kind of long notification. It's the red icon, channel name, stream now, and then title, and then thumbnail. So it's kind of a lot, and a lot of people will immediately disregard it. So it's hard to let people know, even if you already have an audience on YouTube, when you're actually live. It makes it difficult to find the live streams for a lot of people, which is a complaint I've heard not only from Danny in real life, but from quite a few people who do tune into the streams from time to time because they just genuinely don't know when they go live. Whereas on Twitch, that's never really a problem because everyone knows when you're live when the notification goes out. So another thing I just wanted to briefly mention here at the end. But anyway, let's get to the conclusion now. If you're someone that's just starting streaming and wants to grow as a streamer, Twitch is 100% the platform for you, no doubt. But if you are someone that already has an established YouTube audience that wants to just dabble in streaming occasionally, it's certainly a viable option, for sure. I will say that I think Ludwig was also right about something else where he said YouTube as a streaming platform is one that's best served with intermittent streams as opposed to daily. Whereas on Twitch, the most important thing you can do is just be alive. As a Twitch streamer, you find the most success through consistency. Just being there is enough to, over time, grow or maintain an audience because a lot of people go to Twitch just for comfort, background noise or something. So as long as you're there for that, you'll find success through just consistency. YouTube is kind of the opposite. No one's going to YouTube streams for the comfort or anything. They're going there for the novelty of it right now because, again, it's not why you go to YouTube. So if you see a stream and you're like, oh, this sounds interesting, then you check it out for a little bit and you need to capture those viewers' attention. And usually if you're just doing daily streams, you're not coming up with innovative new creative ideas for every stream. So there's a good chance someone tunes in and they're not interested in the game or whatever you're doing, so they just leave. So Twitch is really good for daily streams. YouTube, you'll probably find more success if every stream is a unique one. A big thing to think about when streaming on YouTube is, does this stream work well as a VOD? And if the answer to that is yes, then YouTube is a really good streaming platform because you can stream it live, you can engage with the community live, and then it lives on as a VOD, which is very monetized effectively and can enter the YouTube video algorithm, so you can get new eyes on the video content itself, assuming, of course, it gets picked up and it's like a good VOD. Twitch, that doesn't happen. Once the stream is done, very few people are going to look for the VOD on Twitch. They'll look for it on YouTube first. So all in all, my impression on the big picture thing is anything that works really well as a live stream is going to perform better on Twitch than YouTube, most likely, because more people outside of just your core audience can find that content on Twitch while it's live. But once that live stream is over, that VOD content will work much better on YouTube than it will on Twitch because, again, no one's really watching VODs on Twitch that often. Most of the time, it's getting eyes on YouTube, and YouTube itself can pick it up, and they do monetize it in a much better way than Twitch does. So that's kind of the overall impression of everything I've had so far on both streaming platforms. Again, I've only been streaming on YouTube consistently for the last month and a half, whereas I spent 5 years on Twitch. So maybe my impression of YouTube will change over the next few months or the next year or so. We'll see. But I just wanted to report on all of this. I will say that I think YouTube streaming right now is a lot better than it was when I streamed on here 6 years ago or whatever it was. They have made a lot of improvements, that's for damn sure. But there's still a lot of wiggle room here for more improvements. There's still a lot of room to grow for them. So yeah, just wanted to put all this out there. That's really about it. See ya.